Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to TOLPAKANtm Healing and the 4 healing types. If you don't already know me, my name is Dr. Karen Kan, and I'm a holistic physician and acupuncturist. I'm also the best-selling author of Guide to Healing Chronic Pain, A Holistic Approach, and I've also been featured on television on PBS TV and some documentaries, Biography TV, Om Times Radio, Rising Stars, and From Heartache to Joy Global Telesummit Series. And I'm also the host of the Dr. Karen Kan radio show, where we interview experts in spirituality, healing, prosperity, relationships, and we do live healings right on the show. Now, if you don't know about my book, you can actually get the first 6 chapters free on my website, karenkan.com. And it's a book about the mind, body, spirit connection in terms of healing chronic pain without drugs or surgery. And it's the kind of book that you can pick a certain chapter that resonates with you and just do those particular tips that are in that chapter. Now, I go much more into spirituality in my courses than in this book. This book is for the average, person to digest, that's buying on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, that kind of thing. But it has a lot of things in there that are very helpful for everyday life, even if you don't have chronic pain, like, what kind of water to drink, or how to release a negative belief, or, how to release a trapped emotion, or even why you have pain or disability, that sometimes it's part of your soul's journey. Anyway, if you have bought a copy of my book already, I want to thank you for that. And if you have a hard copy of my book, either hardcover or paperback, I'm more than happy to send you a book plate with an autograph just for you. So just let me know. You can use the contact page and just let me know you'd love to have an autographed book plate, and I'll send it to you free of charge. So in this video, you're going to learn about energy healing and how your energy blueprint determines your physical reality. I'm also going to go over the 4 healing types, and then we're going to teach you a little bit about TOLPAKANtm Healing, where it came from, how I found out about it, and then we're going to attune you to the TOLPAKANtm Healing frequencies and energies. And of course, that is optional. You don't have to be attuned if you don't want to, but a lot of people in the world are already attuned, which is very, very cool. So let's get started. Now, in ancient Chinese medicine, it was well known that there were only 2 things that caused all illnesses. Yeah, just 2 things. It had to do with something called qi, or energy. In other cultures, that might be called prana, for example, or ki in Japan. There's all these different names for it, but basically it's vital force. So if you get sick, one of these 2 things happens. Either your qi, or your energy, is too low, or your qi or energy is stuck and not moving properly, or not balanced among all your organs, glands, channels, etc. So all this energy runs in what we call your energy blueprints. There are a lot of different kinds of blueprints I've discovered, but what's really neat about whether it be physics or spirituality, and we are learning to actually prove this to be true, but the ancients knew it a long time ago, that before you have an illness, or before something is of form that you can see in the material world, there is something that precedes it, that is the energy blueprint. So in other words, if you have an energy blueprint that is of a sick liver, then even if you try everything you can to make a big, change in your diet, for example, to improve your liver, that may very well help. But if it doesn't address the energy blueprint of the liver, and you have a funky blueprint, then you won't be able to regenerate your liver back to perfection or perfect health. So part of energy healing is about going back in time, or sometimes forward in time, depending on your perspective, to get to the absolutely perfect blueprints. So in other words, before you get cancer, for example, your energy blueprints and your energy system, the qi and everything, has already been imbalanced, oftentimes for years or decades before you get the cancer. So guess what? To heal the body, we can change those blueprints. So how does energy healing work anyway? Well, everything is energy. Even the table that's in front of you, even the chair that you're sitting on potentially, it seems like it's hard and it's solid, right? But if you actually take like a super strong microscope, if you can imagine going down to the molecules and the atoms, you'll actually see that most of it is empty space. Most of it's actually energy. It's not even anything solid. So even though it looks and feels solid, everything is actually energy. And they've already proven this in quantum physics. So the energy comes before form. That's what I was talking about before. So the energy exists, then the form exists, then something comes to reality. So in other words, you can actually create something nowadays in your mind and have it happen. For example, I often teach my students how to do weather magic. It's one of the easiest energy healing, if you will, things that you can learn. And what I teach them is that say they want to have a picnic on Sunday and it's supposed to rain on Sunday. So I tell them, okay, well, picture where you are going to be at your picnic. Picture yourself having a good time. It's nice and sunny. It's perfect weather. Maybe you can, ask for whatever temperature you would like and see it in your mind. Okay, so that is you creating form out of energy, which in this case is thoughts. Thoughts are energy. Absolutely, they are energy. So, and they've proven that too. So anyway, so thoughts are energy. We create it out of the ethers from our thoughts. And as long as you don't get detracted from all the other people who's telling you how bad the weather's going to be and you basically lose faith, okay, guess what? A lot of times you will get that perfect weather. Now, if it's not for the highest and greatest good and we really need the rain and there's 10,000 people wanting rain and you're the only one that wants sun, well, you might not be able to get the sun you want. But I have taught this to children and they can do it. They can do weather magic. It's amazing. So energy comes before form. By changing the energy, you change the form. So in energy healing, it's kind of the same thing. You can actually check in and tap in and ask, how happy is my, for example, kidneys? How happy is my immune system? And get an answer as long as you're asking the right person. In this case, we go right up to the top and we ask source or source, God, creator, whoever you want to say. It's actually a field of amazing potential. So we ask source, how happy is this particular immune system? And then we get an answer. And then if we know what's going on, if there's an imbalance, then we can actually correct the imbalance by creating a new energy field or blueprint from which the body can create new cells. And that's kind of the left brain medical doctor part of me, explaining how energy healing works. But it's actually pretty interesting. So why do we get sick then, right? I mean, if we have a perfect blueprint when we're born, possibly, why do we get sick? Well, we are in a three-dimensional human body, and what happens is that energy fields can get distorted. How do they get distorted? Well, we say energy comes before form, right? So all around your body is what we call the auric field or the aura. There are different layers to the aura. There might be over 50-something layers to the aura. The aura actually has a lot of information in it. It's invisible, unfortunately, or fortunately. It's not invisible to everybody, but it's invisible to most of us. And it actually interacts with your physical body. So when there are distortions in your aura and distortions in your energy field, even within your body, then eventually the organs and glands and cells that those layers, those energetic layers, help to balance no longer are balanced because of those distortions. And why do they get distorted? Well, they can get distorted from negative emotions, trauma. It could be physical trauma, it could be emotional trauma. Okay, there can be, negative energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation, like from cell phones, for example, or Wi-Fi routers that are very stressful, to the energy field, that distorts the energy field. There could be toxins that you eat or drink or smell, in the air, water, and food that could also eventually distort the energy. For example, if you drink tap water, okay, city tap water often has the frequencies of a whole bunch of things that used to be in the tap water before it went through the processing. So in other words, if Mr. Jones down the street threw out his hydrocodone pain pills down the sink and they cleaned that out of the system, they cleaned the chemical component out of the system. But guess what? The tap water now contains the frequency of the hydrocodone. It also contains the frequencies of bacteria and viruses and parasites. Not only that, when the water goes through 200 feet of pipe, it becomes what we call dead water. Water is meant to be a vortex. So when it comes down the mountain, it's in a stream, it's in a vortex. When it's in a river, it's like, in this vortex kind of nature, it becomes what's called structured water. Structured water is the information that our bodies need and want and expect. But when you drink tap water from a tap that has not been structured, those energies have not been cleaned, all of a sudden the information going into your body is really dead and harmful. Can you imagine having all those energetics of, old fluoride and chlorine, and you can actually have the best filter to filter out all the chemicals, but the frequency of those chemicals are still in your water unless you erase those frequencies. And this is something that we can do with energy healing. So just so you know, there are ways in which you can actually see the energy body, and there are some specialized equipment that you can use. This is Kirlian photography. You can actually see the photonic energy coming from the human hand or even objects we don't think is alive. This is actually a key. Isn't that cool? Also, this is a really neat experiment. So here's the uncut leaf, and they've done this specialized photography with it, and then they've cut the leaf here. But in this specialized photography, they actually can see even after the cut leaf, over time, the imprint, the energetic imprint of the leaf that was there before is apparent on this type of photography. It's very cool. Think about it. You probably know that salamanders can grow their tail back, right? Well, we haven't been able to grow a human arm back, but wouldn't it be cool if we could? But here's the thing. The salamander has the blueprint for a perfect tail, and it knows how to regrow a tail based on that energy blueprint. But if you destroy that blueprint, it won't know how to grow a tail anymore. So, how do we then heal the body? Well, we talked about the chi or the energy being too little or not balanced. So, we either improve the energy levels or we balance the energy, get those blueprints back to normal. And of course, we want to give raw materials, right? So, if someone is very sick and their kidneys or adrenal glands are very weak, and very low energy, we can correct the energy and take away imbalances that prevent the energy system from flowing properly, or we can maybe add positive energy to help the energy system work better. And in doing that, we can restore the battery levels of energy so those organs function better. So now let's move on, now that you have an understanding of how energy healing works, at least on a foundational level. I want to talk to you about the 4 healing types. Now this is something that was communicated to me when I was asking Source God. I've said, why do some people have such a hard time healing and other people don't? Why is it that some people have to learn so much about their own healing, and it seems like they have greater responsibilities and others don't? So this is what I got from Source, that there are it can be divided into 4 main healing types. Now the type 1s, I gotta tell you, I never see them. They never walk into the office. They don't need help, or at least not my help anyway. The type 1s generally heal quickly, and they don't really need to work at it. It's just kind of natural for them. Now you would think that all children are like this, but it's not true actually. Of course, yes, children relatively heal quicker for sure, but I have met children who are actually type 3s and 4s, the ones that are more difficult to heal, but there's reasons for that. Now, like I said, I don't see the type 1s very often, so let's move on to the type 2s. Now, the type 2s, I don't see that often either, but these are people who need to make some conscious changes in their life. Now, what do I mean by conscious changes? Well, in order for them to heal, they may have to consciously work on letting go of negative emotions from past relationships, for example, or that they know very well that sugar is bad for them, but they're addicted to sugar. So they may have to really work at what's causing their sugar addiction and heal the addiction and be committed to healing that addiction. So the type 2s are generally responsible for healing themselves. And in relationship to the type 3s and 4s, they seem to have an easy go of it. But if you're a type 2, it's still hard for you because the type 2s have a really hard time sometimes just being disciplined to drink enough water every day. What's hard for them might be very easy for the type 3s and 4s. So let's go to type 3. If you're a type 3 healing type, you have to do a heck of a lot more work than the average person to get results in your healing. Why is that? Well, what I've determined or what I've been told is that type 3s are not only responsible for healing themselves, but they are often healing themselves in order to set up positive morphic fields that other groups of people can then tap into to help their healing and to help them speed their healing. So what do I mean by positive morphic fields? So Sir Roger Bannister was a man who ran the first 4-minute mile, meaning he ran a whole mile in 4 minutes flat. That's amazing. Now, people said that that was not possible, that you could not run a 4-minute mile. In fact, it was thought to be humanly impossible. But yet, when Sir Roger Bannister ran that 4-minute mile, guess what? Within a very short period of time, multiple people not only made that record, they actually broke it. So what happened here? Well, what Roger Bannister did was, you might think, oh, maybe he just inspired people. No, remember they said it was humanly impossible. But what he did was, because he was the first person, he actually set up the morphic field of energy of having already accomplished running the 4-minute mile. That field of energy was there and available for anyone else to tap into if they had enough talent, etc. And if they did, they just had to tap into that field that he had created and be able to run the 4-minute mile too. Here's another example of what a morphic field is based on athletics again. Now, in the Vancouver 2010 Olympics, the host, Canada, was well known to basically go kaput during the Olympics when it was in their home country. In other words, they would perform terribly. They were very unlike the Russians and the US, who performed extremely well in their own home country. So there was definitely some sort of, weight hanging on the Canadians during the 2010 Olympics, because all you saw in the papers at the beginning of the Olympics was just how poorly Canada had done in the history books of winning medals and definitely winning gold medals. So what happened? So within the first few days of the Olympics, Alexandra Bilodeau won a gold medal for Canada. That was unprecedented, had never happened before at home, not like this. And after that, I think Canada went to win, another unprecedented number of gold medals. I think it was 9 or 13 or something like that. It was crazy, the amount of gold medals that Canada won. Maybe it was a lot more than that. Sorry if I'm quoting the wrong number. But it was the most gold medals won by any home country up to that point. So they went from earning 0 to earning that many gold medals. Well, what happened? Well, Alexandra Bilodeau actually created the new morphic field that basically blasted the old one, which said that Canada can't do it and Canadians can't do it. He set up one that says, yes, we can. Now, is it just personal inspiration? Could be. But I know the physics behind it. He set up a new morphic field. So the type 3s are there to set up new morphic fields often, or add to an already growing morphic field to help others heal. For example, if you are a woman who has gone through abuse in your life and have gone out, basically gone out the other side and are now happy and successful and healthy, you've created a morphic field of going from trauma to strength. That morphic field other women can tap into, and that might be your soul's role or soul's mission, is to help other women. Or maybe you're an indigo adult or child, and your job is to enlighten people. Okay, so it could be a tribe that you're healing from. I've seen people that they're healing their whole country, or they're helping to heal their whole culture. For example, if they are Native American or some other culture that has had some trauma in their lives. So if you're the type 3, it's going to take you a lot longer to heal often, but it's definitely worthwhile because you're often healing for a lot of people and you have greater responsibility. And it's wonderful sometimes just to know, oh, okay, that's why it's taking so long to heal. And that's why I have to work so hard, because I'm doing it not for myself, but for a lot of other people. And it's worth it. We need you. Okay, what about the type 4s? I kind of call them healers on a mission, whether they are actually professional healers or not. And they are very much like the type 3s, except they're often innovating for the entire world. And in many cases, not all, but in many cases, not just for our worlds, but other worlds as well. We're talking solar system, other planets, stars, galaxies, other races, um, intergalactic races. I am a type 4 healer on a mission. I went through my own fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and healed myself. And it was very challenging. And I got to the point that, at some point I was literally depressed and wanted to kill myself. I know what it feels like to be down in the dumps and experiencing what we call the dark night of the soul. But when I understood that it was necessary for me to go through that in order to get to the other side, in order to help people, I always felt that I was here to save the world. And, I would my mom would roll her eyes about that. And she was like, oh, let God heal the world. And I just struggled with that most of my life. I didn't understand why I felt like I was here to heal the world. But later on, I did understand. In fact, I understood that I was not only an empath, someone who could feel another's emotions, I was an empath specifically for Mother Earth. In other words, Mother Earth and I actually shared a body for a while back. So if something was going on in my body, I knew there was something going on in Mother Earth, and I could even locate where the stress was coming from in her case, whether it be, entity attacks or, some military stuff or, chemtrails or poisoning of her oceans. I mean, I would feel it in my body. I also found out that I was a star seed, meaning that I had other lives as alien races and had come and incarnated in this lifetime as a human in order to bring light and information and help to the world. So healers on a mission often are healing on a global or intergalactic or even multiversal scale. They have the most difficult assignments. They are challenged the most, and sometimes they are the sickest. Um, and sometimes it's meant to be, and sometimes it's accidental, so to speak, but they can always go to the other side and get over it. So they need to overcome this incredible challenge in order to help others overcome it as well. So that's the healing type 4s. So now let's move on to the Tolpakan healing method. So firstly, what are the Tolpakan healing frequencies? Well, these are energetic frequencies for sure, and they originated from an interesting vision and conversation that I had with Source and the angels. I found out that I was a Lemurian, which is a lost continent here on Earth, apparently. And in a past life, I was a Lemurian healer, and this healer actually had a role to bring or ascend the world. And in doing that, we could bring people to a higher level of vibration, and we would be able to heal ourselves with much more ease. Unfortunately, at that time, I never really finished my mission. So I was incarnated in this lifetime to do the mission again, but this time I've been much more successful. So these frequencies are actually frequencies from the archangels. There are 8 people or beings who were originally attuned to these frequencies. Jesus was among them, actually, and so was this Lemurian healer that I was. We were physically and personally attuned by an Archangel Raphael, the healing angel. And then from there, we attuned other people by touch. That's usually how it worked, or through um, a crystalline interface. And so these frequencies actually help us heal, focus our intentions to a desired reality. So it helps us create kind of like light paths to creating that new reality that we imagine in our mind. So it really uses the amazing, amazing human ability to create and innovate and think things into being. Cool or cool? So the Topakan healing method is a simple 3-step process. You first do an assessment using divine muscle testing, and then you do healing with a healing directive. You can either imagine it or saying it out loud. I often like to say it out loud, first of all, because people know what I'm talking about. And second of all, it helps to focus my mind on what it is I want to create. If you can do the healing directive and see it in your mind as well, or feel it in your body, that's even better, I think. And then the last thing is we reassess using dowsing or muscle testing as a post-test to make sure that the healing that we did intend actually is doing something positive. So like I mentioned before, the Topakan healing energies are combined healing energies with archangels, and they are being upgraded as we ascend. So over time, your power levels will go up and the Topakan healing frequencies will go up for faster and more deep healing. There are certain things that are allowed at certain levels of our development and other things that are not. But as we keep developing and evolving, we'll perform more and more miracles, which is very, very cool. So what's the purpose of bringing Topakan healing method to the world? Well, it really is to help with the ascension, and is to help us get to a higher vibration by practicing our natural, basically God-given gifts to manifest positive things. It trains our minds to do that, and it helps people that are already awakening, like the indigos and the earth angels, the hybrids, those of us that are very sensitive, supports us in awakening to our true life's mission and to do our soul's mission. And how is this different from other modalities such as Reiki, reconnective healing, acupuncture, etc.? Well, I think there are wonderful, wonderful modalities created. And I had this conversation with Source, like, why are you wanting me to bring this to the world? There's so many other wonderful things. But part of it is, my need to, as a soul expression in this timeline to accomplish my soul's mission. The second thing is it is now so much easier to attune most of the world's people with Topakan healing. So it's probably about 98% are already attuned to a certain level to these healing energies, and I no longer need a big huge crystal from my Lemurian lifetime to be able to do this, which is very cool. The other thing is that because it uses thought and creation, and it's very, very easy to use the Topakan healing energy safely, and helping you connect to source as well, you can't really do any harm. And you don't have to be an expert at understanding chakras or auras or anything like that in order to perform a healing. Now, if you do know those things, that's awesome. But if you don't know those things, it can be much easier. Like one of the easiest things I have my students do is practice weather magic. So there are many cases where I've just taught someone within 5 minutes how to do weather magic, and they've changed the weather. So for example, I had a patient here whose brother was getting married, and they were calling for storms and stormy weather during their outdoor wedding. Well, I said, hey, you know what? You can do this. And he was, I think he's an indigo. So, but even if he wasn't, I said, okay, are you up for it? I'll teach you how to do it if you promise to do it. And he said, sure. I said, okay, so I want you to imagine, can you see it in your mind right now where you're going to have the wedding for your brother? And he said, yes. I said, well, see it the way you want it. Perfect for pictures, the perfect temperature, the perfect light, the perfect heat, whatever the temperature is. Just imagine you guys having a great time and it working out well. I said, can you see it in your mind? He says, yeah. I said, okay, there you go. You just did weather magic. So just keep that focus on what you want rather than what you don't want, because there's going to be a lot of other people saying, you can't do that, or it's going to rain, or it's really bad weather, and you'll hear it on the news, and all these detractors. But you have to not listen to them. You have to just focus on what you want and not what you think is going to happen. And the stronger you are in being able to hold that frequency of what you want, the more powerful you become. And so it's a wonderful practice to do weather magic. And some of these other healing modalities, well, it's not, they don't train you to heal the weather. We've done massive clearings of worldwide issues. So for example, the Patricia Hurricane, October 2015, the internet hijacking, supposedly internet hijacking that occurred October of 2016. TOLPAKANt Healing is very quickly to be able to assess what the problem was, where the damages occur, and then correct the problem. So that's the really, really, really fun thing about TOLPAKANt Healing. It doesn't matter what the distance is, you could heal other galaxies. And in some cases, we've had extraterrestrials come to us for help because they can't solve a problem, and we've been able to solve it using TOLPAKANt Healing. Does TOLPAKANt Healing always work? Well, it depends. Well, if the result that you picture in your mind is for the highest good, then yes. If you have to have some sort of life lesson before it manifests, then no. It may look like it doesn't work, but it doesn't mean you don't get something out of it by using your powers and using your God-given gifts. And if it's about enhancing your spiritual evolution, it's often going to steer you in the right direction. So just like we can't say everything works for everybody, I think it depends on whether it resonates with you. If it resonates with you, awesome, then use it. You're probably already attuned, but we're going to do attunement today. And if you're already attuned, it'll just increase your attunement powers. And so it's not harmful to get reattuned, so to speak, to these energies. So now let's do the TOLPAKANt attunement. It just takes a minute or two. So just take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Kind of get settled in your body. Good. It's now commanded that you be TOLPAKANt, healing energy attuned, all the frequencies from the archangels and all the upgrades be downloaded and activated in you in the highest and best way in this timeline and all others where you exist, if Source allows, with ease, speed, and grace, and have all these fully grounded body, mind, soul in all your timelines. Thank you. And anything preventing you from being fully attuned and your power levels being increased to maximum, be healed now with ease, speed, and grace. And we ask that the God team of 100% Light Score help assist you in healing, self-healing, directing, and guidance. And any guides that are under that, thank you very much, but we will no longer need your services. It is now commanded this healing be integrated and fully grounded with speed, ease, and grace, all the holes filled with love and light. For this and all the blessings, we give our thanks and gratitude. So be it. Amen. That is it. You are now attuned. So I would love to have you do more trainings with me. There is a freebie TOLPAKANt Healing introduction video. It's about an hour and 7 minutes long, in addition to some cheat sheets that you can get just by being on my mailing list. So if you go to KarenKan.com, put your name and email address in, you'll get 6 of my Fast Track Your Healing classes, as well as this new one we're putting up there, first 6 chapters of my book, absolutely free, as I mentioned before, and my very, very popular clearing protection spray, which is infused with TOLPAKANt energies to help clear your space from negative energies, entities, etc. And I'd love to have you in class too. So check out KarenKan.com/healing programs for some of my latest healing programs and self-healing tools to help you heal on a higher level using TOLPAKANt Healing. Thank you so much for being part of this. I wish you well and many blessings to you. Bye for now. And the way they work is